Thank you, everyone, for coming out this evening. It's truly an honor to have the opportunity to present to the community of the Westwood Regional Junior Senior High School this evening. Tonight, I have the pleasure of being able to continue our voter education series on our middle school referendum, which is going to take place on December 12th, 2017 this year. My name is Raymond Gonzalez. I'm the superintendent of Westwood Regional School District, the proud superintendent of Westwood Regional School District. And tonight I'm joined by members of the Board of Education and Administration. To my right, we have Rusty Miller and Darlene Manderville. Darlene Manderville is our Board of Education president, who will be joining me in the presentation this evening. We also have Joseph McAllister, another board member, as well as Roberta Hanlon joining us this evening. And also in attendance are our business administrator, Keith Rosado, as well as our esteemed high school principal, Mr. Frank Connolly. And as well, I see in the audience Mr. Michael Reitmeyer, technology coordinator for the district. So this evening, I would like to take the opportunity to really give the community an insight into what is going to be set before everyone on December 12th. In order to invite the community to make a decision that is as grand as what we are proposing, we want to ensure that the decision is an informed one. So the presentation this evening will provide sufficient background regarding our proposal, as well as hopefully the benefits that this presents to the entire school community, not just the middle school community, but the entire school community, school-age students, as well as those members of the community who may not have students in our school district. So this evening, I'm going to begin with our vision. What is our vision as a school district? Our vision as a school district, as you'll note, is to be able to prepare our students to succeed in the world beyond of our schools. So we want to be sure that our students receive a sound and comprehensive education. We want to be sure that our students are able to reach their potential as they progress through our school district, elementary, middle, and high school. Why? Because as they leave to compete in a college admissions or a employment application process, we want to make sure that they are equipped with the best tools necessary to be successful. So in the effort to educate all of our students, the middle school has always presented itself as a prime opportunity for us to take what we're doing and do it even better. For those that are not as familiar with the configuration of our school district, we're made up of 4 elementary schools that are grades K through 5. We have 1 middle school that all of our elementary schools feed into, and that middle school is currently configured with grades 6 through 7. And then our high school is the junior senior high school because it includes grades 8 through 12. Now that configuration that I just described is one of many configurations that exist in the state of New Jersey. But what I can tell you is through the research, we discovered that our middle school configuration of grades 6 through 7 is very unique. So unique that we are the only school district in Bergen County to have a middle school with only grades 6 and 7, and we are only one of 2 school districts in the entire state to have a middle school with grades 6 and 7. So as we look at how we are designed and set up for success, our middle school obviously comes into focus. And in the effort that we are going to explore this evening, we are seeking the support of the community through a referendum and giving them a chance to weigh in on bringing our 8th grade from the high school to our existing middle school in order to create a grade 6, 7, and 8th grade continuum. That configuration, grades 6, 7, and 8, is the most predominant configuration, not only in Bergen County, not only in the state, I would argue, nationwide. And why is that? It's because our students in grades 6, 7, and 8 represent specific developmental, academic, and social needs that allow a school district to target its resources and benefit our students' growth and preparedness for high school. So this evening, when we're thinking about the middle school, we're thinking about how middle school may differ from the elementary and high school experience, and why it's important to target our resources. So our focus as a school district is trying to take advantage of those developmental needs in that critical period of time in a student's growth, to be able to target our resources both academically, make sure that we're engaging their student needs based upon their interests at that particular time in their lives, and being able to develop programs and instructional experiences that maximize that, and to do so over a 3-year grade span affords us much greater opportunities. Developmentally, as I mentioned, our students represent a critical point in their own maturation, where they're somewhat the prepubescent tween who is really going through a number of physiological, mental, social, emotional, as well as academic changes that we want to make sure we target and help them navigate. Fostering independence becomes another key component of what we do as educators in capturing their interest, nurturing their social emotional needs, and allowing them to become more independent learners, more independent thinkers, more independent feelers as they are trying to make sense of the world around them and all that's going on even inside of them. Within a middle school model, teaming is a critical component that allows our teachers to work together to really know our students, so that teachers are divided into teams, in our case a team A and a team B, where a common group of teachers will teach a common group of students that they will then get to know more and more academically, social, and emotionally, so that their conversations about how do they improve in their practice is actually going to be tailored to the individual needs of their students. So that when they get together to have conversations, they're not just talking about how their lessons can intersect and overlap with one another, but also how their lessons and instruction can address needs that may present themselves as they examine the needs of each of the individual students that they're teaching. Within a 6th and 7th grade environment, obviously that presents great opportunities, but to expand that up to a 3rd year up at the high school or up at the 8th grade truly allows us to continue the great work and continue our focus on those students. You'll also notice that the social emotional theme is one that we have really taken into great consideration as we put together a program and a proposal that looked at student support services on a continuum of opportunities for our students, so that students can reach out to a teacher through their team. They could reach out through a principal or an assistant principal as a trusted adult, or they could go to our counseling and guidance counseling center in order to find even more services that could help them as they navigate. We want to make sure that there are several opportunities for our students to find help, to find support as they navigate these teenage years or preteen years in some cases. And last but not least, as you add an additional grade, as we bring the 8th grade to the middle school, we're also combining staff who have similar certifications. So our ability to be able to utilize those staff in different ways and in ways that allow us to maximize course options and course offerings will obviously be enhanced when we have a 3-grade continuum. Now, in the proposal that is being presented on December 12th, we are also including several facility improvements that will accomplish all that I described. So, as you'll notice on the slide behind me, the improvements range from everything including our infrastructure, whether it be making sure that as we build or expand our facility, we're going to ensure that our wireless and wired technological infrastructure is up to par with the needs of a 21st century educational environment. We also want to make sure that as we build a new facility that we're taking advantage of all the green design strategies that are not only required by current building codes, but also in our best interest in order to be eco-friendly and reduce our carbon footprint. and I'll be able to discuss that further. We also want to make sure that as we implement a new building design, we also take advantage of the opportunity to re-examine how we securely monitor our buildings and ensure that we maintain visitor access so that our students and staff will feel safe while they're in our building. In addition, the spaces that are being designed, as I mentioned before, address the many things that I just mentioned. So for instance, by being able to reallocate spaces and relocate some of our spaces, all of our student support services are going to be housed together in one area. So whether it be our child study teams or our guidance and counseling, they're going to be available to our students and being able and be located in a way that allows them to work together. We also have the ability to now take advantage of space in a way that moves our band and choral practices into an appropriate space that is acoustically designed to provide such experiences that allow our students not to practice band in the cafeteria, but actually in a facility that will allow our students to really work together and learn together as they develop their craft, their instrument, or their vocal capacity. We also have the opportunity through this redesign to also right-size our gymnasium. If you're not familiar with our middle school once upon a time was an elementary school. So the gymnasium was sized for students that were a lot smaller than they are now, which allows us to then not only right-size the gymnasium to meet the physical needs of our students, but also to allow us to offer academic programs through our health and phys ed that are conducive to middle level students, but also consider an athletics program that now can incorporate students beyond just an 8th grade. Now we could also include 6th or 7th grade as well as we move forward, and to do so within a right-sized capacity. Now that same facility, that same gymnasium also provides an opportunity for our community to have access to that after hours when we're not using it, so that our rec programs, which are currently using and sharing our facilities with us, will have access to yet another official and right-sized basketball court, whether it be for basketball programs or even wrestling. We also have the ability through this referendum to be able to continue the work that has begun in our elementary levels, to allow students who are potentially representing special needs that we are able to service at an elementary level, but currently don't articulate into our middle school. So we have students who are currently being educated in our elementary school. When they get to our middle school, we don't have the capacity, the space to be able to design a program to meet their needs. So unfortunately, then we have to make tough decisions, and some of those decisions may require that we find an out-of-district facility to do what we should be doing and want to be doing, but we just don't have the space to do so. So in the design, we're looking to be able to build those spaces and build those programs so that we can articulate and make sure that we educate students, elementary, middle, and by relieving space here at the high school, allowing us to build programs here at the high school so that all of our students can continue to be educated in the school district where they reside. Let's see, I think the last item I'd like to focus on is just making sure that through this experience, all of the administrative, all of the instructional spaces that we have in store are all aligned with the tenets that I raised earlier to make sure that our students socially, academically, emotionally, and physically now are attended to. So to the layouts that you see before you, you'll notice we have the horseshoe-shaped existing structure. This houses generally our entire school, with the exception over here of our cafeteria and our main office area. The current structure is designed in such a way that allows our students to be educated in a single location, but limits their ability to flow in and out of the building to the space that you see here. So in other words, if a student has science in first period and then needs to go to social studies second period, then they are all traveling the same corridors to get to one location. So obviously that presents with certain challenges and pedestrian traffic that especially in inclement weather and during cold months can certainly present even further challenges. So what you see in the red is actually a physical representation of what the proposed expansion would look like. The centerpiece and the main piece that you see located to the right represent two-story structures, whereas the facility all the way to the right is a single-story, right-sized gymnasium. You'll also notice a small square over here, which is basically a renovated kitchen facility in order to accommodate our existing plus one additional grade of students. We want to make sure that our cafeteria services can accommodate their needs. If we zoom out a little further, what you'll also notice is that included in our primary proposal is an additional parking area. And that additional parking area is in place in part because of the space that is utilized by some of the footprint of the building, but also because we're bringing down additional students, we're also going to be bringing down additional staff. So we want to make sure that we have ample space for those individuals to park during the course of the school day, while also allowing for parents to drop off, pick up, whether it be beginning or at the end of the day, or even if you need to come in the middle of the day, you'd have the ability to now, through this main entrance, be able to pick up your child and drop them off each day. The schematic of our floor plans go into much greater detail, but to orient you to the way the floor plans are designed, the dark red indicates those student academic or student support spaces. So those are classrooms, those are nurses' offices, those are child study team or counseling offices. The lighter shade, the pink, are those items that are more administrative or utility spaces. So closets for elevator controls and mechanics, or even technology and wiring switches that we need space for. So when you look at how we are designed, obviously the majority are red spaces, the spaces that students will be using. But in order to be able to accommodate this new structure and this new design, we had to relocate some of our administrative spaces and be able to expand them to accommodate the additional students. On the first floor of this center space, we have 2 additional science rooms as well as a dedicated art room. In the upper left quadrant, where you see what is currently the undersized gymnasium, we've now created a dedicated performing arts practice space. So it will have both facility for individual instrumental practices as well as large group band practices, with built-in tiers that allow students to be able to really take advantage of an acoustically designed facility with band instruction. You'll also notice on this side, in addition to having a gymnasium with spectator seating, we've also designed it in such a way that allows community access to that space in a way that it locks it off from the rest of the facility. So if our community is using it after hours, we are able to lock it off to give them access to the gymnasium, to public restrooms, to the locker rooms, but secure the remaining portion of the building so obviously that our custodial maintenance crew could continue to prepare the classrooms for the next day, but also for obvious safe and security reasons. You'll notice a couple of stairwells because of the 2-story partition of the facility, but you'll also notice our original horseshoe thoroughfare is now complemented by additional arteries that provide a more circular flow as well as intersecting hallways for our students to get from point A to point B in a multitude of fashions. When you look at the second floor, as I mentioned, the second floor is only available these two structures. Additional classroom space and space for delivering related services such as occupational therapy or physical therapy. And then we also have what you'll see here, which is a new learning or information media center. Go to any college or any new construction of a school building, and what you're going to see is that our traditional libraries are turning into spaces where students not only consume knowledge through books and through digital resources, but it's also where they're applying that through collaborative means. So traditional libraries are becoming more collaborative workspaces, places where students and staff can meet together in small, medium, or large groups, and being able to take advantage of those meeting times to tackle projects, to explore their own individual learning, or quite honestly, just to have a different environment to do their homework or to get that extra help. So this space provides a great central learning hub for the entire school to be used before, during, and even after school to help facilitate our goals as a middle school. The next two slides just provide a digital rendering. It's not the final, but it obviously provides a visual representation of how this expansion would be incorporated into the existing structure. And as you could see here, with a new main entrance and a covered entryway, it provides some protection from the elements to help facilitate drop-off so that parents can drop off and continue on to allow traffic flow to continue to flow throughout the morning and afternoon. Now, I think next up, I'm going to invite Darlene Manderville, our board president, to talk about how these benefits really extend not just to the middle school, but to our elementary, high school, and community at large.
Thank you. The Board of Education is incredibly excited about the prospect of creating a true middle school. You've seen all the great reasons, all the great things that are going to happen for our students, but it's not just for the middle school students. This is actually, going to benefit everyone. It starts off with our elementary schools, where both towns, the students will converge in a middle school. One of the things that it will benefit is the fact that those students will be staying there for 3 years. It's not a quick two-year pass-through. It's a 3-year place where they can get comfortable. And they will have an expansion of the supports, the programs, and the facilities that will really make that a great experience for them, we hope. It also is really important to note we've worked very hard to provide programming and supports for our students in the elementary levels, and that would continue through the middle school. So for our elementary students, obviously there's a benefit of having a true middle school, and I think we're excited to think that that's going to make a difference for them when they go on even into the high school and beyond. Our high school, moving the 8th grade to the middle school, will provide the high school with the opportunity to more effectively utilize the space to accommodate the programs and the programs and the high quality education that a 9 through 12 school would be able to provide. So for instance, with the additional space in the high school, we'll be able to expand the media center to serve as a primary hub for research and collaboration, like Dr. Gonzalez spoke about. We'd be able to expand our special education programs to support the continuous education of students within our district. Expand the opportunities to promote student wellness by introducing space to support cardiovascular fitness programs. Allow for more effective schedule options, giving our kids more ability to have different options for electives, and that's an important thing when you're looking at what they're going to do for the future. So, it really creates an opportunity that'll be great for all of our students, elementary, middle school, as well as high school. How does this help our communities? Well, an investment in a true middle school is an investment in the Township of Washington and the Borough of Westwood, and makes both communities more attractive for home buyers. As Dr. Gonzalez had said earlier, we're only one of two in the whole state that actually has this current configuration of a 6 through 7. By creating a true middle school, we would join the other 218 school districts in the town that have a current 6 through 8, and the 390 other schools in the state of New Jersey that have a 9 through 12. obviously, I think that tells us that that's a program and a model that is really effective and works. So that would be an investment for both of our communities in that. Of course, again, we spoke earlier about the facility upgrades and what that would mean, such as expanded programming and an expanded gymnasium that maybe our town recreation programs would like to make use of. And again, just to reiterate that adding the 8th grade will align our middle school with the grade 6 to 8 configuration that occurs in most of the schools in New Jersey and actually in the nation. So those are just some of the great benefits, but I mean, I can tell you that the Board of Education is incredibly excited about the possibility that we'd be able to do that. I know the administration is excited about the opportunities that it's going to present for them to provide an even better education for our students. So I'll leave the financial part for you, Dr. Gonzalez.
So the next portion of the presentation attempts to tackle the funding portion of the proposal. And the reason we want to take the time to delve into this is because, as you'll note, I think there is a bottom line opportunity to really explain to the community the benefits of the planning and work that has gone into this. Just for those who are not aware, this has been a project that has been years in the making. Well before my arrival here as superintendent, the Board of Education, prior boards of education, and administrations have been exploring this possibility. And based upon anecdotal feedback of the community in the past, it was evident that there was an interest and the desire to create a true middle school, but there was also a clear mandate that it was not something that people were comfortable absorbing the financial impact all at once. So over the past several years, through fiscal efficiencies at the board and administrative level, we've been listening. We've been preparing for this day. So what that allows us to do, and this slide represents, is to be able to present on December 12th a referendum that asks the community to vote on and approve the issuance of a bond to support the entire project. And that is the $23,891,000 that you see listed there. However, it's important to note, through this cost savings that I mentioned, and through the application for state aid to pay off this debt, what will result for the taxpayers is that principal amount on that bond will go from the $23 million down to $8 million within the first year. And then for the remaining 20 years to pay off that is what the taxpayers and the tax impact will be based upon. So based upon that scenario, what you see represented is based upon whether you're a borough of Westwood or a township of Washington resident, both at a per $100,000 assessed home value rate or using $500,000, again, as an example, what that would cost the average homeowner. So based upon the financials that I just described, you're looking at approximately $70 on an annual basis to be able to develop the programs and develop the facilities that we described this evening. And on a monthly basis, you're looking at not even $6 per month in order to achieve that. Now, I think it sounds straightforward, but when it comes to actually going to the polls on December 12th, you're not going to see this. You are going to see two things. You're going to see an explanatory statement, and the explanatory statement is our opportunity to try and place the narrative behind what I just described, to allow the voters who are going to cast that vote to understand what the project impact is and all of the work that has taken place over the years to prepare for this so that we can provide savings to the community through our own budgetary capital reserves and even through exploring options for the state to offset that through their debt service aid opportunities. So that's where you'll see the $8 million that I was referring to. You'll see the $13 million that we have available to put towards this project. And then ultimately, that will translate into the awarded state aid that then combines all of the sources of revenue that are used to fund this project. The actual ballot proposal, now what people are actually going to vote on is what you see on this slide. And what this represents is the legal requirement for going to the voters and asking them to weigh in on whether or not they approve or not. And in this case, you'll notice there's no mention of $8 million. There's no mention of capital reserve, because we as a school district are asking the community to approve the full $23 million in order to maximize the aid that we get back from the state. If we subtracted out the $13 million from the $24 million project cost, then it also would have diminished the amount of aid that we got from the state. So in order to better benefit and further benefit the community, we felt it necessary to take advantage of the maximum debt service aid available to us. So that's the reason why we see the $24 million there. So I think that the best way I've described it to others in the past is similar to when you put something on a credit card to get those miles, those airline miles. You know you're going to pay it off because you don't want to pay the interest. So you pay it off all at once, and you're able to reap the benefits. Well, we are going to put a $13 million first year payment towards this project. We are going to put state debt service aid towards this project in order to benefit and make this something that is truly a source of pride for this community. So the ballot proposal, in simple terms, goes back to what I presented before. $24 million project translates to an $8 million cost over the next 20 years. So I just want to round out the presentation this evening with some questions that we often get that may be lingering out there, and we want to make sure are answered this evening. The first question that is often asked is, okay, if this is going to get approved, how long before we're going to see students in this new facility? So what I listed on this slide was a time frame of about 18 to 24 months, which would translate to technically our 5th grade, if the moon and the stars align and everything works out great, or our current 4th graders. So that's what we would be looking at. Students currently in 4th or 5th grade would be able to take advantage of this and be the first 8th grade to go through this new facility. And why do I sort of hesitate, and why do I give a range of 18 to 24 months? Well, the reality is, as we all know, this is an active school. This is a school where students are attending on a regular basis and instruction is taking place, and we want to make sure that we phase in the construction of this new facility in a way that is not disruptive to the educational process and really allows us to maintain an active educational facility while preparing this new site. We also have to contend with forces that may be beyond our control in terms of getting approvals and permits that allow us to go out for bid, award bids, and then begin the construction. So we are anticipating, again, through this process, the 4th or 5th grade of this year being able to reap the benefits in the middle school. And as Ms. Mandeville pointed out, any students who miss the opportunity in the new facility will be able to benefit from the opportunities that are then made available here at the high school. So for those students who are moving into the high school, they'll be able to see those benefits in the health and fitness, in the media and technology, or in the course offerings that we all described earlier in this presentation. Now, the other question that often comes up are the fields. Where do the fields fit into all this? Well, the great thing is, through our application process to the Department of Education, we've included additional parts of our master plan. And if I could just run back quickly to here. So what this means is that when we sought approval for this project and the middle school expansion, we included a request for approval on any renovations to the fields, and also renovations to our existing heating infrastructure in the existing facility, because the existing heating plant is made up of steam and hot water, doesn't represent the most efficient or redundant system that allows us to maintain heat in that facility the way we would like to. So what that means in translation is that because the New Jersey Department of Education already approved it, if the referendum were to pass, when we go out to bid, if the bids in any way came lower than what we had allocated, we're still obligated to issue a $24 million bond. So if we were able to take advantage of economies of scale, of an economy that allows us to get services and materials at a cost lower than we were estimating, then those additional funds are already approved to be used to address our heating as well as a field renovation. And obviously the field renovation really comes into play when we're looking at our health and phys ed program at a middle school, but also an athletics, middle school athletics program for whether it be soccer, softball, lacrosse, baseball. So the next question that is often raised is about those specific green design strategies. And as I alluded to earlier, those strategies are in many ways dictated and required by local building codes and state building requirements that are obviously looking for these renovations and new construction to incorporate these. But it's also an opportunity for us to explore ways that we can bring in more natural light into these new classrooms, bring in more circulation of fresh air into those classrooms, be able to manage our indoor air quality, and also manage the way we use light so that we can install, whether it be motion sensors or daylight sensors, so that lights are adjusted accordingly. LEDs, not only from a residential and commercial standpoint, from an educational standpoint, represent an energy efficiency as well as an instructional environment that is definitely more conducive to positive learning. So all of those things, rainwater management and the conservation of water in bathrooms, those things are all part of the design process that would be factored in both as a requirement and as an opportunity. We don't have the final answers because we're not at the design stage yet, but I could assure you that they will be part of the integration of that design. Also, one question that often comes up even in that is about solar, and that's the perfect opportunity for us to explore how solar can possibly complement this in both how it's designed, how it delivers, how it offsets or potentially impacts our funding so that we could potentially seek savings or rebates that allow us to then utilize those funds towards some of the additional areas that I described. And then last but not least, let's see, I think I went backwards, right? Yep, there we go. Wetlands and floodplains. Many people often remark, well, we know that there's a stream nearby. We know during several storms there's been high water in that area. So how does that factor into this? Well, through the approval processes, we certainly would be in conversation and review by the Department of Environmental Protection to ensure that everything that we're doing complies. And if there's anything that we need to do differently, they would let us know prior to going out to bid and finalizing our designs. Furthermore, when you look at our floodplains do give us an opportunity to design a facility that is actually raised above that plain so that we can't prevent the water from coming all the time, but we can prevent it from entering our buildings if we raise the foundation appropriately. The existing 4 classrooms that were most recently added are already constructed on a plane above the floodplain with that in mind. So I think it's important to note that those factors do factor in our design, but they are not something that are prohibitive, because in many regards our existing asphalt, our impervious space, we're not adding more impervious space. We're actually building on top of that. So that's generally an area of concern when you're looking at the DEP approval. we've already been through that with them. We know what they are looking for. So this is certainly something that we are very comfortable in our proposal. There are several other questions that people may have. There's also an opportunity for many other people to take advantage of the materials that we've developed for our voter education. We have brochures available. The brochures that are available really summarize all the information that has been shared this evening, but it's done so in a more digestible and easy-to-read format, I think. And it's made available in all of our schools, in our libraries, as well as our municipal offices. So if anyone's interested in picking one up, feel free. We also have created an online information portal. So the information portal can be accessed by visiting our main website at www.wwrsd.org. And through that information portal, you'll have access to anything and everything you've ever wanted to know about this. The research that went behind this, that the board reviewed and considered, is posted up there. All of the demographic studies, the functional capacity studies, all of the various permutations of the design have been posted on there. We've included the research from our local realtor and national realtor associations that talk about the alignment of home values to quality of school districts. We've also included additional information about middle-level education and the benefits and the uniqueness of middle-level education. We've included as well, and will be posting, frequently asked questions, because as we engage in continuous voter education, we continue to get questions about things that we may not have addressed each and every time. So we'll continue to add that throughout the course of this voter education period up through December 12th. And then last but not least, we have a host of presentations that are scheduled between now and December 12th, and any member of the community is welcome to attend, whether it be at a school, at the library, or any of the other community organizations that have sponsored us or permitted us to present this evening or at their function. I think the other thing you may notice that a number of board members and administrators are wearing an Ask Me badge, and the reason for that is obviously because we are all in together as a school district. So every member of the administration is prepared to answer any questions, both about the project at large and also how it supports their individual constituents. If you ever see any of us, feel free to stop by and ask us. And I think even tonight it's proven that we could also answer questions about who's winning the game tonight. So we have a lot more to offer than just Westwood Regional referendum info. But most importantly, I just want to thank you all for coming out this evening. I want to also invite you to invite your neighbors, your friends, and your colleagues to join us at any future presentation. But most of all, I want to ask all of those who are watching this and in attendance, most importantly, to come out on December 12th. Whether you're for it, whether you're against it, hopefully you feel passionate enough to cast your vote and let your voice be heard through the process. And we thank you in advance for your time and attention. Now, that concludes the presentation. We do want to make sure that we leave a room open for any questions that may arise. So if there's anyone who has a question, feel free to raise your hand. We have a wireless mic to go around. Okay.
Best side. My question is the two-story additions to the middle school.
Okay.
I didn't see, in detail. I am assuming they're ADA compliant, and you have an elevator
Yes,
in the building.
that's
okay,
correct.
That's all I wanted to
Yep.
find out. That's it. Anybody have any questions?
Okay, well then on that note, I thank everyone for coming out this evening. I thank WCTV for your support and cooperation in recording this program. And most of all, I want to thank everyone's continued interest and support in Westwood Regional School District. Have a great night and safe travels home. Thank you. Thank you.